Xbox Record This is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Hosted by three BFFs, Daddy Diwali, Chipotle Bear, and Bubble Boy and Seven. This is Cortana. And remember, don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. As always, Spartans, see you online.
Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to Xbox Record This, episode 66. Joining me, as always, is the assistant to the co-host. He's shocked over there. Bubble Boy and Seven, how are you? Don't worry, I'm going to clip that. Don't worry. And joining us, as always, is the assistant to the assistant to the co-host, Chipotle Bear. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. A quick real-time follow-up. It's actually episode 76, not 66. But 76. I'm doing great. I've also got some great news here. I don't know if you can see.
You got your shirt already?
Oh, snap.
I literally ordered it when we recorded last Friday. It arrived today. Literally today. I got home from work. So for those listeners that are listening, I got my Haunted House Xbox themed t-shirt. Nice and comfy.
I really want that Hellblade one, except I wish they had a hoodie version. I don't know why they don't have a hoodie version.
Yeah, it is weird that they didn't have a hoodie version of this either, because I thought about that too. It's just the t-shirt, but nonetheless, I'm doing great, man. Happy to be here with you guys. It's Friday Eve.
Yeah,
feels great.
That's very nice. Guys, I want to say this before we even start. To all of our loyal listeners and watchers out there, and we've got a loyal audience, you guys. We have a consistent. So I'm going to have to shill out here and ask all of our loyal listeners, if you haven't done so already, please, 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 Jose, what do we need them to do?
We need a couple things. One, we need to engage with, you can always write into us, xboxrecordthis@gmail.com. And if you would be so kind, especially in the spirit of the holiday season, which is pending, if you could give us a 5-star review on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, a 5-star review would do wonders for us. You know, we are the 17th ranked Xbox podcast, but we are vying for
I'm not even
16th
kidding.
spot.
If you search just Xbox on Spotify specifically, if we could get more reviews on Spotify, we do come up there as like 16 or 17, and that's a big deal. Okay. We're ahead of some other podcasts that have been around for a while, and I believe it's due to our consistency and, of course, this quality content. So please.
And the loyal fan base as well. Thank you to everyone.
And good mics.
Yes. Okay. But seriously, please, if you could, I'm thinking of all of Jose's coworkers. This will do well for your evaluations. Please go ask on Spotify. All of Jose's family members, basically everyone related to Jose, please, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate it. But I know a lot of you have already, so thank you in advance. And we do, again, would appreciate it greatly. And speaking of our awesome audience, let's jump straight into some Xbox Record This shoutouts. And the first one, Cordy Morgs. It's been a while. Cordy Morgs writes in. He says, Dinosaur and I only played a couple of hours of Grounded the other night, but first impressions were solid. Shout out to our save file, Rocket Ship Park. Love the name, Cordy Morgs. Great names. Yeah.
That's a throwback.
And are any of you going to start up a backyard? Cow. Thoughts on Grounded? Cordy Morgs. Well, I got to say, Cordy, I actually jumped into their party, guys, when they were playing, and I could tell they're having a good time. They were just laughing and just talking the whole time, ignoring me. And I want to say, Cordy, great name. And my kids, I still call it Rocket Ship Park, even though it's kind of like I guess it's a tall slide there. I don't know if you guys have been there recently.
Isn't it
the real name is Jackson Park in Lakewood. And to be honest, it's not that great of a park, but for some reason it was a staple in our childhood, basically probably because we had baseball games there, maybe like football practice if you were in Little League and stuff.
And there was a rocket ship.
Well,
and there was
but they took
awesome.
a
real life rocket
time ago. There was a rocket ship, well, a rocket shaped slide, but it's just okay. No, that's really the only good thing there. So if you're going to take your kids there, it's kind of overrated.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if you don't know that place as
Oh, yeah, of
Rocket Ship
course.
Park.
Why didn't they change the name to that,
You,
to be honest?
uh,
I don't know where that name came from other than the
Well,
rocket
yeah,
ship. Like
clearly.
that clearly was like a
Yeah, but I mean,
colloquial
everyone
thing.
called it that. So good, huge shout out, Cordy Morgs. I don't think any of us have started, Cordy, but with you talking about it, and then I'm listening to Lord Cognito and Mr. Matty Plays always talking about it. I think I'm going to jump in. The only problem, Court, is I kind of want to play Mass Effect again, and I'm stuck. It's like, do I play it or do I go to Grounded? I'm a little concerned about the survival element of Ground.
on your
Exactly. Well,
PlayStation,
here's the thing, Chance. I want to get rid
then yeah,
of my
no.
PlayStation. The only reason I'm still holding on to it is because I need to beat Mass Effect. Otherwise, it will be gone. So, shout out to Cordy Morris. It's great to hear from you, buddy. Chance, any words to your brother?
Yeah, and another shout out because as we release this, Cordy and Dinosaur and Mikey the Caveman, Mike should be
Oh,
getting married. So
wait a second.
congratulations to
Captain
Mikey and
Their
Caveman.
wedding is
Chris.
this
Congrats,
weekend?
buddy.
Are you sure? I still haven't gotten my
Yes.
invite. I don't know.
Stop. You know how that stuff is.
I could have sworn he said he
Um,
was.
Mikey and Nicole Smith Peter, I believe, Smith Peter, are getting tying the old knot this
Well,
weekend. So
Are they getting matching Ninja Turtle tattoos?
congratulations,
I think
Mikey.
they're-
Even though
Yeah.
he's a loyal
Yeah.
listener as well, Mikey. I think there's still time for me to get my invite. Right? I don't. We
Yeah, there's exactly
Yeah,
24
man.
hours.
Yeah,
No
okay.
problem.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for that. But congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Mikey. Also, big fans of the show. Congrats for real, Mikey. And what was his fiance's name? Nicole.
She
Oh,
went to
really?
Green
Oh, all
Mountain,
right.
too.
Nice. Next, speaking
Yeah.
of Green Mountain, not really tied to Green Mountain, tied to Bear Creek Bears. Claire to Square writes into where can people write in? Actually, Jose, where did Claire write in?
As we said earlier, xboxrecordthis@gmail.com, or all those DMs are wide open as
Hello,
well.
gentlemen. Thanks for catching up with my email from the week before. I was born in 95. So between the release of Donkey Kong and the N64, sadly, I did not become the Elden Lord on my birthday, but I feel closer than I ever have been on the final boss fight. They have altered and enhanced the movesets on the first half and fixed glitches. Ooh, so it's a bit of a nightmare, but I'm finding my way. For my first real journey into gaming, it's been an endeavor. I'll be very proud of this accomplishment, something gaming can teach you therapeutically: perseverance and a sense of accomplishment. You're absolutely right, Jose. She's absolutely right.
He's absolutely right.
Internal shout out to Bubble Boy. I too was at that conference in Keystone, and I went to a random cafe in Dillon that made a mean barbecue sandwich. Wait a second, Claire. Chance, you didn't see her there? Did you say hello? Did you?
Is she a school counselor? I know she's in the mental health field. The one I was at was specifically for school.
We'll get back to that in a second.
However, there were multiple conferences going on at the
okay.
time, so it's very. I mean, the place is huge. It's like on two different sides of the highway,
Gotcha.
even. And I was only there for the first of 3 days, so I doubt we crossed paths. But yeah, cool. And
Can you
Dylan,
clarify? Did your name tag say Bubble Boy and 7?
I know she's like Chance. I don't know.
Claire continues, what are some pieces of merch from the Xbox store that you wish you could have gotten your hands on but missed out on? Do y'all have Halloween costumes planned? A pleasure to listen as always, Claire de Square. Shout out to Claire de Square. Claire, I gotta say, if you were there and you saw Bubble Boy and didn't go say hello to him, banned. You need to go say hello. We're always happy to spend time and shout out with our fans.
That's how you get those 5-star reviews right there. You ban your fans.
And Jose, any reaction to Claire de Square? Let's answer some of her questions here. Any gear that you missed out on, or a Halloween costume? Well, I know you have a Halloween costume planned. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the gear thing, not really. I'll be honest, prior to the last couple of years, I really didn't buy a lot of gear from the Xbox store. I just to be fair, I didn't think it actually was that great of a store for a very long time, where they have really, really stepped up their game in the last couple of years, especially with some of the games that have come out.
Agreed.
The one thing that I did miss out on from the Xbox store, but I was able to secure, are those fine trophies behind my co-host as we record. So originally those were only on the Xbox store, and I wanted to get them for them, and they were sold out by the time I found them. And I signed up for like the little thing that says, let me know when this is back in stock. It's never been back in stock. But as luck would have it, later on I found them on another site and I ordered them for Christmas through that. So that was technically something I missed out on, but it wasn't even for me. It was for them. And then for Halloween, we do absolutely have costumes here in the Martinez household. As much as we were trying to get our family to be the family from Bluey, but I wanted the girls to be the parents, Bandit, and I always forget the mom's name. What is it? Chili. Chili is the mom's name. But I wanted them to
Thanks,
be the
Penelope.
parents, and I wanted my wife and I to be Janet and Rita, the grannies. That's what I wanted to be our costumes, and the girls just wouldn't have it. So instead, Penelope was adamant about being a mermaid, and Scarlett wanted to be a shrimp because she loves shrimp. So we went with an ocean theme. So I am a hammerhead shark, and my wife is a crab. That is what we are going ocean theme this year for our family costume. I'll try to wear my costume one of these weeks here on air,
Very
but
nice.
not this week.
Wasn't that Victoria, Chance? I don't know. I was going to say.
Yeah, that was Victoria. Penelope's asleep.
Oh, right. Yes.
Victoria's
I
over
just-
here watching TV.
Claire, as far as
course.
merch is concerned for me, yes, there was a t-shirt. I can't remember. Oh, that's what it was. It was the Xbox 20-year anniversary shirt, but it was the Master Chief, the 2-0.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, like
Like
what's
what's
on
on- it's on
Chance's
Chance's
hat there, but it was like a black shirt with gold, and it was sick. And yes, I do regret not getting that t-shirt. So that's one item. And then as far as costumes are concerned, well, we all know who I'm going as this Halloween. I thought about being the Master Chief because I've got this incredible helmet. By the way, it was on sale for $42 the other day. Everyone should have grabbed it.
Hangman.
No, but no, of course.
Shepherd.
I'm going to be Maverick,
Gambit.
of course. I actually ordered
We
a better
knew.
jacket to go with it, and I'm going to go get some cowboy boots from the Ark or something. I got to get some boots. So I'm going to complete this outfit. I got dog
Are
tags.
they blue stingray boots?
No, he's got like, it's just like a brown, and then it's kind of like a darker brown or black on the tips and on the heels. So I'm trying to match it. But yeah, so Claire, I will be going as the greatest aviator to grace us in the world, and then. Also, I do want to get a Master Chief like bodysuit, but they're pretty pricey. And there's one on Amazon that's like $400 or $500, but it's pretty legit. I gotta say, it's pretty cool. So, Bubble Boy, what about you?
Wait, what's the family going as, Dan?
Allie, I don't know what she's doing. She doesn't really participate in costumes. So
Just get her a
Here's the
flowing
thing.
white
Actually,
shirt and some
speaking of
high-waisted
costume
pants.
parties or Halloween,
go
my
as your
brother
date.
has a costume party not this weekend, but the next that we're invited to. So of course I've got mine. Grayson is going to be an army man. Madison is going to be a unicorn with wings and everything, and she's got even like little hooves for her hands and her feet.
I like
And Brooklyn's a witch
Yep,
because she's
yep.
terrifying. I mean, that's classic Brooklyn. And they all, yes,
She's
they
gonna be
all
the
picked these
Joker?
out. By the way, we went to Costco. I showed them all the different costumes. This is what they picked. So, yeah, Allie will probably be like a cat or something, lame like that. Bubble Boy. What about you?
Solid choice.
Oh, Brookie. When you guys were, yeah, I did.
I'm the Joker now.
Sorry. Looks at her brothers like,
What are you buying?
all right. It's not really the same as what did I miss out on that I wish I would have bought. I'm going to miss out on it, and it's that Master Chief bomber jacket that's currently for what is it, $117,000.
I gotta interrupt, Jose. How do we get that cheaper price? I thought we did everything.
You have to.
It says it on there,
because I
doesn't it?
do want to buy that.
You put in.
I'm gonna look into it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
There's
I
like
just
a
know
cou-
I'm not going.
There's like a
to.
coupon code or something like that
Yeah.
for it, and it ends up being like 150 or something like
Yeah.
that.
And not because it actually costs as much as it says. I just know I can't spend my money on that. I would love to. Gosh, I would love to. I don't know. We'll see. Probably not. But that would be it. And right before I was talking about how I really want they just came out with a Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice line, and they have the there's a blue, just like Jose's shirt right now. It's a blue one that's like kind of crackling and fading away. So it's the Xbox symbol, and then it has some of the runes, like the Nordic runes underneath. And I like it. I don't need another T-shirt. I really wish they had it in the hoodie form. So I might wait and see if it drops in a hoodie form. As far as Halloween goes, it is Cora's Super Bowl, and so she is in charge, and she has deemed we're going to be characters from Sing 2. She is
Oh
going
God, please tell me you're the pig.
No, Rosita. She's Rosita.
No, the Gunter, the boy
Gunter,
one.
yeah. Beep boop boop beep. That one. No, because she picked it all. She's Rosita. I am Mina, Ashley is Mina, the elephant. I'm Alfonso, which I think is kind of cool. The elephant that owns a little ice cream shop. So I got the green and white striped shirt and some elephant ears. And then Annie's is the most exciting. Annie's gonna be Buster Moon.
Oh my God,
So
that's
Ashley
fantastic.
got her
Little suit?
this like little it's like a onesie for what is he, a raccoon? No, what is
koala.
he?
He's a koala.
Koala, Jesus, yeah. Like a koala onesie because it's always cold here in Colorado, so that will keep her warm. And then a little blue button-up suit to go over the koala onesie. So that'll be cool. And Cora is convinced it's gonna be like half trick-or-treating, half caroling, and that we're going to just sing the songs to people over and over and over. She will be bringing a Bluetooth speaker and delighting the heck out of all of our neighborhoods. So I'm excited because it's fun to see her excited.
Yeah,
it's adorable.
Love
Man.
Halloween
Love it.
time. So speaking of all these costumes, Bubble Boy, let's go right into the warm-up.
Yeah. Top 5 best not candy bar candies that you can get at Halloween. So, and this was the qualifier here. I've never received Nerds Clusters or a Nerds Rope for Halloween, and so that couldn't be on my list.
I like it.
We did have a little bit of an off-air chat earlier, and I mean, Nerds Clusters are the number one candy. I think that was scientifically proven a few years back.
And that is a scientific
MIT,
fact.
I think it was MIT or Stanford, Harvard. I don't know, one of those places. But that can't be on my list because I've never had it at Halloween. So since I'm still talking, I'll just keep going.
Wait,
Honorable
Bubble Boy.
mention.
So
Again,
just so we're clear, last week we did the worst caca candies. Now we're moving into the best. And this week specifically, there are no chocolate candy bars, nothing candy bar like. We're specifically talking candy variants, okay? Because it was hard for me to get only 5 when you said best top 5 candy. Like that's a tough task. So we broke it up into candies, and the next week we'll do candy bars. So go ahead.
Correct. And because obviously, like if you ever got a king size anything, which remember in our neighborhoods, Jose, up where Shay Robinson
way up there.
lived,
Yep.
Up the you knew exactly what I was talking about. I did that, yeah. Like 2 blocks above mine. That was where the king size came from. Yep. So anyway, honorable mention: peanut M&Ms. They're classic. They're basic, normal, but a classic. It's hard again, and I'm judging this based off of when I looked in my bag or I look in Cora's bag. Nowadays, I'm like, ooh. I'll take that, right? Honorable mention: peanut M&Ms coming in at number 5. And sorry, Daniel, but the fruity Tootsie Rolls. Those are always a hit for me. I like
that was your
green
top
ones.
Insane.
They're great. I choose those when I see the fruit colored ones. Choose them. Yep, I like the green. I like the yellow. Number 4, peanut butter M&Ms. So step up from the peanut M&Ms, the peanut butter M&Ms. Love those. Always looking for that kind of red little package because that's what they come in. Number 3, Sour Patch Kids. Almost impossible to beat a Sour Patch Kid. But they can be beaten with, again, Daniel, sorry, Dots. Love Dots. And as I was looking on some of these lists that, just to kind of like spur my memory a little bit, Dots is not a fan favorite of anybody. Apparently it's me and you and Shannon, Jose. Yeah. Are the only people on the planet that like Dots. I love Dots.
Too, but that says a lot. I'm just gonna say
the green ones are incredible. I don't know. I love Dots. Can't apologize. And number 1, Reese's Pieces. Gotta love those Reese's Pieces, which are arguably very different than peanut butter M&Ms. So
I like
that's my list.
Jose, why don't you go list? Because mine is the definitive list here. Because I'm a candy connoisseur. So you go ahead.
I mean, I don't doubt that Dan is the connoisseur for the record, although his definitive lists are usually incomplete. So just throwing that out.
I haven't eaten candy in 34 years, so I'm gonna put a couple of beef jerkies on here.
I love beef jerky.
My honorable mentions are licorice and not black licorice. I don't like black licorice.
Dude, Twizzlers, I was thinking about this, Jose.
Like
that's
Twizzlers.
bottom of the list. That's a bad one, too. What's the last thing my kids always pick in the bag besides that Crunch Bar?
I love
the little Twizzler
like
bags.
Twizzlers.
Nobody likes them, though.
Yeah.
Especially when
They're great.
when
But
kids
I
are
don't- I like
trick-or-treating
them.
and you look in your bowl, what's left over? Twizzlers.
That's not left over in my house. But to be fair, it's not where I reach first. So that's why it's an honorable mention. And then also, just like Chance, I had peanut M&Ms. It's a classic. Like you see a bowl of peanut M&Ms and you take a handful and you enjoy every bite of them. Like it's a classic. I love peanut M&Ms. Official number 5 for me, Bright Crawlers. Like the sour gummy worms.
Yeah, I miss
I
that.
love me a good Bright Crawler.
Yeah,
That's a good little thing. You get those little packs at Halloween. Number 4, the purple Skittle pack. Not the red pack, but the purple one, the berry bunch or whatever it is.
Fancy over here.
That's a
Jeez.
classic. Number 4. Number 3, the Haribo gummy bear packets, the little gold packets with like 6 gummy bears in them. I love those
That's
gummy
a
bears.
great-
I could
yep.
eat those
You're gonna
all
see
the
here in a
time.
second.
Number 2, peanut butter M&Ms as well. I'm a
Oh,
big
yeah.
peanut butter guy, and my number 1, same as Bubble Boy, got to have those Reese's Pieces, man.
Yep.
I'm like ET phone home all day.
Yep.
Like I just love them. They're delicious. I could eat a
solid
ton
list,
of them.
gentlemen. So I'm impressed with yours. These
Well,
are
they
all
are.
winners.
The only thing missing is
Okay. Let's go on to Daddy Diwali's definitive XRT list of the top 5 candies you can get on Halloween. And here's how I thought of it, guys. I thought of it when I was a kid as well. And if I got these, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got this haul. You know, like you knew they were special if you got some of these. And of course, today I just eat all of these no matter what. And by the way, I did a horrible mistake, you guys. I bought Costco. I went to Costco the other day and got the candy early because I usually always forget. But what was I thinking? Exactly.
Gone.
I'm what,
Gone,
3
isn't
weeks,
it?
4
Yeah.
weeks out? What was I
not
thinking?
that
Oh gosh,
You're thinking that
my
you're a good
battery's
father.
gonna die. Stall for me. Somebody talk about some other favorites.
I mean, the weather's looking real good right about now.
You know, Chance, one that wasn't on your list that I thought was interesting that I'm curious is nerds. Not nerd clusters, but like why did that not show up on your list? I'm curious.
Yeah, I kept wanting to put it. Like I was like, and it probably should have just made honorable mention, but I was just like going back and forth. And I like nerds. I feel like I don't often like if it was in kind of like we were saying, if it's in with
Yeah.
all that other stuff,
Yeah.
I'm not
Gr-
going
a
straight
great
for the
treat.
nerds. And now that nerd clusters have come out, it's almost like insulting to me to eat nerds because I'm like, well, I
Let's
need
jump
the
into that
cluster
because
with
I
it.
have nerds on my honorable mention, and you're right. Very special back in the day, but the problem is you know what you do. Just dump the small little box into your mouth and then just
Oh yeah.
I was thinking you should save them for when you go to Dairy Queen.
Oh, there
like,
you
literally
go.
just take one and throw it on top of your Blizzard.
Yeah. That wasn't it on the show that you guys were like, you know what you could do.
Yeah, that was
that
it.
not here.
Continuing my honorable mention, I've got a lot, you guys, because these are all winners. Okay, so anybody listening for Halloween candy this year, any of these are great. Smarties. I don't know why this was on a negative list. I love Smarties. Who doesn't like a Smartie? So Smarties, nerds, Pez. Very rare, but delicious. You know, you don't like Pez? Chance likes Pez. Pez is delicious.
No.
Pez is,
Oh,
exactly.
I do. And they have like
they're
new
fantastic
flavors now too. They have like cotton candy,
One
and like orange.
that I was surprised none of
dreamsicle.
you guys had. Blow Pops, honorable mention with the gum in, like very cool.
See, I don't like the gum.
See, I did.
'cause
I thought that was cool. Moving on, Swedish Fish, a classic. You know, a gummy variant. Pop Rocks, very rare. And if you got one of these, but do they still make that, right? I don't know. Is that like a hazard these days? Who knows? Sour Patch Kids, of course, are great. I would normally have this on my top 5, but there are reasons I just couldn't have it on there. And I added peanut M&Ms. Grew to like those more as an adult. Like we have a big one of those Costco jugs in the fridge, and you just grab handfuls at night. Allie and I, we're bad about that. So here's the top 5.
I love that you added at night.
Number 5, had to have it on there, you guys. Candy corn, specifically made for the holiday. Love me some candy corn, and
I still maintain that we don't get that at trick or treating, but we'll see this year. I'm going to keep track
Well,
this year as we go out.
to me, it's special. Number 4, Skittles. Did any of you guys have Skittles? Oh yeah, Jose had the purple bag.
Yeah, Jose had the
Skittles are
purple
Purple
delicious.
bag.
And I
And I
agree
like the purple bag
completely.
too, but I'm fine with the normal bag too. They're Skittles are incredible. Very underrated. Number 3, I don't think any of you had this. I always thought this was so cool. Airheads. Loved me some Airheads. To this day, I still love Airheads, especially back then. You're like, ooh, this is special. Number 2, like,
That
oh,
mystery
the
white
best.
flavor.
Number 2, Reese's Pieces. You guys are absolutely right. That is a great one. Better than the peanut butter M&Ms. Reese's Pieces. For some reason, it's that Reese's mix. They just know what they're doing. And number 1, Jose also had it on his list, and it was also number 1 on my list. And I remember these were very more rare when we were kids. The Haribo Gold Bears. My gosh, those things are they're so good.
So
The
good.
best gummy bears ever made. And I remember when I got those as a kid, I was like, oh my, what are these? Because it was just kind of breaking in at the time. Now they're everywhere. But Haribo Gold Bears, number 1.
Well, because you've also had the gummy bears that are not Haribo, and they are a very different
Not good. Yep,
experience.
I agree. So that has been the Xbox Record This Top 5 Candies, non-bars for Halloween. Please send us your list. We didn't even get any reactions to the worst candies last week. Please, Claire, Cordy Morgs, J Biz, Bacon. Oh, Bacon. I think
Gooser.
Bacon did write something. I might have to go find his. Actually, he did. Did I delete his? No, we talked about it last week, didn't we? Yeah, he had.
You're talking about his dad
Yes.
list.
Okay, so I'm going to check on that. But please write in, send us your requests. Guys, let's jump into some Xbox news. And this first topic, these first 2 stories, Jose, take it away. And I'm warning you right now, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm getting so tired of this, and it just makes me angry. So go ahead, Jose.
For the record, I'm gonna keep it relatively short, and I agree with both my co-hosts. I'm getting tired of this. But to be fair, we are an Xbox podcast. Part of our job is to report the news to people that don't follow this stuff. And so, in the ever-growing saga of everything that's going on with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, including Call of Duty, there are kind of 2 stories that broke this week about this. The first, this actually comes from VGC, Andy Robinson over there, was Sony's latest kind of attempt to thwart Xbox's purchase. They're telling regulators that should Xbox acquire Activision Blizzard, they believe that it could substantially change the amount of people that buy PlayStations versus Xbox. Basically, this quote, Sony has told the UK's competition regulator that it believes some of Call of Duty players are likely to switch to Xbox, even if the series remains on PlayStation following Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard. End quote. The article is basically about the idea that their argument is that if Microsoft owns it, that they might have their own enhancements for the game. It'll be better developed for the platform. It might come out with exclusive content. And again, I'll be honest, I think that is all fair to say, right? But at the same time, we've said many times, 1, they've already said they're not doing that. And 2, I don't know what to say at this point. Like, that is possible, but it's not likely if they want to make money. Bubble Boy?
As the resident economist in here, you have to help me understand why. So, like, all these points they're making are hurting them. They're like, well, it'll create competition. Isn't that really good in an economy? Isn't that what we should be wanting? And it's like when Popeyes comes out with great chicken, is Chick-fil-A like, actually, they need to change the
That's too
recipe
good.
because
That
our
chicken's
chicken
too
isn't as
good.
good. It's too good. I'm not loving this chicken at Popeyes. Like, I don't understand it. How is that how do you get to do that?
It's not that. You're right. Yes. In economic theory, competition is always good for the consumer. It's not always
So
good
what?
for the other companies.
Don't
But
care. Yeah, so not my
no,
problem.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just giving you the theory. But here's what I would say. That's not what Sony's doing. Sony is not trying to say there shouldn't be competition. They're just trying to not let this deal go through. And what they're trying to
I know,
do
but they're doing
is
it
to
in
make
such a piss poor
No,
way.
so here's the thing.
they're
Wait, let
trying
me.
to make it seem imbalanced. They're trying to make it seem like Xbox will have too much market share. That's what regulators are concerned about, not
And-
competition. They're not saying they can't
I
compete,
got to
but it's
jump
the
in here and say,
market
not
share.
only that, Chance, they're also doing everything they can because they want, it's all coming down to concessions. Like, they want Microsoft to say Call of Duty will be on PlayStation indefinitely. as part of this deal, and in writing.
And I bet it
No,
still will.
they
We've all
haven't said
said
that.
that.
They've said
Yeah,
the
but
3 years now, and then they're going to honor it 3 years after, or whatever it is, right? They want it to be
and they've said it's within our best interest to keep it on as many
true, but they've
platforms
never
as
said
possible.
it will be on PlayStation indefinitely, and it will be parity, and we will not have advancements.
Great. So then when God of War Ragnarok comes
I
out, can Phil Spencer be like, "Well, I don't like this because my Xbox players can't play it, and they'll be forced to buy a
I don't
PlayStation"?
disagree. I'm saying they are doing all of this. I'm gonna jump in just right now and say this. They're doing all of this because it's gonna go through, but it's a matter of what can they force Microsoft to guarantee them, and that's what's happening. And I can't stand it because it's so
They're
hypocritical.
they're
Yes,
filibustering. Is that the
yeah,
right word,
kind
Jose?
of.
They're just
That's
they're just
No,
stalling,
that's
but
not what a filibuster is.
so I mean they are
what's
stalling.
the one where they just, like, go up there and they're like,
That's filibuster. Yeah,
"I
No,
they're
that's a
stalling.
filibuster, but that's
That's what they're
different.
doing."
That's because that's in
That's
Congress
if
because Congress
if it doesn't
sessions can
end, yeah.
end. That's different in the
So
regulatory
anyway,
market.
Feels the same to me.
that's what I just wanted to say is that Sony is just doing this because they want to hear Microsoft say you will get it indefinitely because they are terrified to lose that income. Because you're right, Chance. I agree with you. If they buy it, they absolutely have the right to be like, well, it is going to run better on Xbox, and we are going to give people who have Game Pass free skins,
It's 'cause it's
and we
superior
own
machine.
the IP, so we can do what we want with it. Sorry, Sony, we bought it, and like Jose said, this is capitalism. This is good for the consumer, and we own the IP now. We bought it. Sorry, you guys could have bought it too. And if Sony was going to buy this, it would be locked off. They would immediately make it a platform exclusive. But sorry, keep going, Jose.
Well, because I had one more question. Wasn't it one of you two in our group chat was like, and how come? Why look at Nintendo? Look at Nintendo's
Nothing.
reaction to this.
Exactly?
There isn't one because, and
Yeah.
why does
Why?
that not
That's a
count
great
for
point, Jose.
anything?
Why is nobody bringing
Like
up
they
Nintendo?
are still the highest
Exactly.
selling
Nintendo.
console, and they
Why
don't
isn't
even
Nintendo
have
brought
Call
into
of
this
Duty.
argument?
I
Because
mean-
Nintendo has more sales, more units sold, and is bigger revenue than Microsoft, and they don't have Call of Duty on their platform. Why is nobody bringing that up?
I think that's your answer right there, actually, and that's I don't know for sure. I'm not omnipotent here, but the reality is, if you are in this kind of quote unquote hardcore gaming space where you're really PlayStation or Xbox, or at least that tier of gaming, you don't necessarily, and I'm speaking for myself here, see Nintendo in the same light. And I'm not hating on the Switch. I loved my Switch. It was great for what I needed it for. It is still a very powerful company, but people don't put it on the same level as the Series X at the PS5 because one, computationally, it's simply not at the same level. Like you said, it can't even run games like Call of Duty at a relatively smooth rate. So I think that's why it's getting left out of the equation. The other piece of it, I think, is that Nintendo, I don't think it cares. Like, I think that they know this is going through. They're not looking for
But
concessions.
are they
and
not
don't really
a
have
part of
stake
the
in the
gaming
game.
economy that is taking money from consumers? Like they are a major player. Like
Yeah, you're right, and that actually leads into
Okay.
what I was going to kind of our next article. So let me talk about that, and then you guys can chime in. So follow up to this, because I didn't want to take too long on this. There is another great article, and it's all over the internet, to be fair, but this one's from Kenneth Shepard over at IGN, talking about how Microsoft kind of responded. And they said, and quote, this was to the regulator, the suggestion that the incumbent market leader, that's Sony, with clear and enduring market power could be foreclosed by the third largest provider as a result of losing access to one title is not credible. That is definitely,
foreclosed. Come on,
that's what I've been
so
arguing.
that's
Jose.
where Sony's going. Is that Sony's saying, like, if you do this, we're not going to survive because we don't have Call of Duty and stuff like that. And the truth is, that's just not the case. And they go on, and this is actually, if you go a little bit further in the article, there was a great tweet from
I
Tom
read all
Warren,
this
who's
stuff,
following this, and he actually shows some of the reasons. I'm not going to read all of them, but the top two are the ones that I think are the most powerful. It says, the first bullet point says, quote, Sony PlayStation has been the largest console platform for over 20 years, with an installed base of over 150 million consoles, making it larger than Nintendo and more than double the size of Xbox. The second bullet point, quote, Sony engages in conduct today which is reflective of its market power in console gaming, including increasing prices of its consoles without fear of losing market share. So
boom.
I just in my mind, and I'm being a little petty here, is I did feel like
Boom. Roasted.
like that's literally what Microsoft is saying is like, look, guys, like I hear you, and I they understand it. I mean, it's a whole legal game. That's what's happening, is like legal judo, legal sparring, right? Dan's exactly right. They're not trying to stop the deal from happening. They're trying to get concessions like some extension on the Call of Duty contract and stuff. But it is, I agree to your point, coming off very childish, right? Like, instead of going out and saying like, we're going to rejuvenate some of our old first person IPs, or we're going to try to compete with Destiny or something like that, they're just trying to crush it. Now, granted, unfortunately, in the world of business, this is smart tactics, even though it feels whiny and slimy and that kind of stuff. I just, at some point, like, I just want these regulatory bodies to make a decision so we can move forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, otherwise, this is just going to keep going. Like, that's what's going to happen.
I just
Dan,
wanted
what'd
to
you wanna
say, I really can't. This makes me want to sell my PS5 because I hate this argument that Call of Duty's success is guaranteed and that it will always be this juggernaut. It's not guaranteed. I've been arguing that from the beginning. Call of Duty can fall off. We've seen how big Fortnite is and other and Apex and other games. Like, it's not guaranteed, and the video game landscape changes. So I mean, it's been changing crazy just since Xbox One era, I would say, and it really just irks me when PlayStation says stuff like this when they have literally some of the best developers in the world, in Naughty Dog, in Sony, Santa Monica, in Gorilla. Like, they have all of these great studios. Insomniac, like,
Insomniac.
oh my gosh, Insomniac might be their best. They can make great games, you guys, and you don't. This saying, "Oh, nobody can make something as great as Call of Duty." I just don't like that. They just want that free money from all the sales and the microtransactions from COD, and I get that. But the worst part is, Jose, is they're going to continue to get that. Microsoft has said, "Hey, you're going to get this for at least probably, let's say, the next 10 years, realistically." That gives them plenty of time to keep getting that income and prepare for if for some reason Microsoft did want to take Call of Duty off the platform. I don't know. It just and sorry, I'll let you go in a second chance. And I heard on PS Trophy Room, they're talking about it, and Joseph and Kyle are sick of it too. But I don't like this whole thing where people are saying, well, the Microsoft is like the New York Yankees. They could just buy everything. Yeah, I can see that to an extent, but this whole organic growth, like, why can't Microsoft grow studios naturally, like Santa Monica, and then buy, or Insomniac, and then buy them? This organic growth argument that Colin likes to say on Sacred Symbols as well. It's like, you know what? You guys wanted Xbox to compete, like Cog said. Now they're competing and everyone's freaking out about it because they have the means to buy studios. You can't just build studios. We've seen how difficult that is with the Initiative. They have to team up with the Tomb Raider studio. Just in general, talent, it's becoming harder and harder to retain at companies. Destiny and Bungie has spent billions as part of that buyout just to keep those employees there. Like, how can you expect Microsoft to build random studios organically within their own, just from the ground up? Whereas why can't they just buy a studio? Like I feel like that's the only way to get AAA studios now is you have to buy them. You can't just start one up. It's incredibly difficult to start. It's incredibly difficult to get the talent, and it's incredibly difficult to pay them. Like, what else is Microsoft supposed to do here? Sorry, go ahead, Bubble Boy.
I'd love to know. I was kind of, when I asked about the Nintendo stuff earlier, has that Doug Bowser, has he
Nope,
weighed in on
Nintendo
any
hasn't
of
said
this?
anything.
Like, it'd be really,
Shouldn't
really
that say
interesting
something?
to know what he thinks. It says just as much as him saying
Yeah.
something to me, but I would love to know what his thoughts are, right? Because I don't want to use the word unbiased because he's clearly biased. He can't not be, but at the same time, he is staying out of it. So it's almost like he's like the
Yeah.
closest thing to an expert that doesn't
he's
have
just
a
like, "Go
horse in the
ahead."
race, because he doesn't. Because
And then
they don't have Call of Duty,
yeah.
right? And
So here's the last point I want to say on the whole. Would you rather Microsoft buy them or Google or Facebook or Apple? And I'm sorry, I'd rather have
Exactly.
Microsoft be in charge of Activision and all these studios than Tencent or anybody else. And I think, Chance, like you said, with Nintendo not saying anything, I think that says everything. Like, they're like, okay, this fine. We're going to continue to do our thing. We have great products. And that's what I think Sony should be saying too at the same time, especially because they're not losing Call of Duty, guys. No one has said it's going away anytime soon. It's just the threat of it. And I don't know. Jose, last thoughts on this?
Well, I just want to finish with a one last quote from the article, and it's just below the stuff with Tom Warren. It says, quote, Xbox is a platform which is in last place in console, seventh place in PC, and literally nowhere in the mobile game distribution globally, has no incentive to do this. This means to cut Call of Duty off from Sony players. Instead of its incentive is to encourage the widespread adoption of cloud gaming technologies by as many providers as possible to encourage the major shift in consumer behavior required for cloud gaming to succeed. They're making their intention clear. They're trying to make further headway in these markets. They're trying to bring this mobile gaming thing. It doesn't seem like they're taking Call of Duty away. They are taking the revenue away, which is, I think, where Sony's really pushing all this. Again, I feel like this is a pretty roundabout conversation. I acknowledge that Nintendo's a big piece of this, but I think they're staying out of it. I think Nintendo has realized that they don't want to get into the like high level gaming machines, the $500-$600 machines. They want to keep it at that $250-$300 price point. So they're going to play a different game. So this doesn't necessarily affect them. And that's a great market, right? That's the young market. That's the family market. That's the family who's like, my kid wants to play games. I don't know what to buy. I go to GameStop with $300. I'm going to walk out with a Switch, right? So that's a different market, but I just want this to start winding down. Like I just would love to
November
hear a
8th,
date.
man.
Like there will
That's
be a
when the
decision by.
FTC
Is that the next
hopefully
day?
they're like, this deal's going through, and then we can stop hearing, because if they approve it, right, Jose, who cares what the EU and CMAT, whatever the heck it is.
No, I mean it does matter, but we need to start the process of like this needs to go through or not, and then if it doesn't, let's start working through that next piece. So maybe it's a holiday treat.
Yeah,
for
and
all
I
of
just
us. We'll
wanted to
see.
say one more thing. Microsoft also wrote that PlayStation said they denied having Game Pass on their platform, so they're denying a possible income route for them. So that's, again, PlayStation making that decision. And also, I wish I would have saved the person who said this, but basically, I saw a response saying, well, if this deal for some reason doesn't go through, which I still think it will, they're like, now Microsoft will know the rules and just buy third-party exclusives. I mean, at that point, if you know you can't fairly buy a studio and then decide what to do with the IP, then start being like Sony and buying your Final Fantasies and buying your Hogwarts Legacy, and then just keep it to one platform for like 2 years. So I hope it doesn't get to that. Let's move on. And after all that caca, I need to move into something positive, boys. So I'm going to go straight into Xbox celebrates the disability communities with new accessibility updates. And this is coming from Anita Mortiolani, Director of Accessibility. And this just was posted today. Xbox aims to empower everyone to play the games you want with the people you want anywhere you want. And that includes the over 400 million players with disabilities in the world. Today, with the 2022 Xbox Accessibility Showcase, we celebrate the disability community and the many people and organizations working to remove barriers to play, ultimately making gaming more accessible around the globe. We asked members of the Xbox Accessibility Insiders League, the XAIL, and the Xbox Ambassador community what they wanted in the future of accessibility, and they emphasize the importance for more wide and variety of accessibility options year-round, in addition to customization of accessibility options, including text, subtitles, captions, difficulty settings. How critical it is to include players with disabilities in design as collaborators and as an audience. The importance of standardizing settings, increased discoverability of features, and communication of accessible gaming. And so they have these points they want to create, which includes accessibility testings with disability focus offering and Xbox accessibility guidelines, touch control guidance, Connect, the Xbox Ambassador Accessibility Explorer path, finding Xbox and PC accessibility features on support and support.xbox.com, play. Through gaming, we are able to experience new worlds, gain new perspectives, and create new memories for play. For that to happen, games need to be accessible. So they talk about some of the games having accessibility options. And then they ended with working together. They talk about special effect and RNIB, the Royal National Institute of the Blind. And now they're going to address some of these working together with these organizations. Accessible events. Gamescom's 2022, they need to make it more accessible. The Tokyo Game Show, they're on a mission to make its content and videos more accessible. And so all of this, gentlemen, I don't know if you got to watch any of the video, and I think it was hosted by, Oh, Jose, do you remember his name? I did start to watch it. Don't watch it unless you're going to start crying, you guys, because every time I see stuff like this, I am just reminded of how lucky all of us are and how we don't even think about all this when we're playing video games. And just a huge shout out. I think his name is Steve. He's basically hosted this conference. That was a lot, but I do want to focus on something positive from the Xbox community. Bubble Boy, did you get a chance to read any of this or watch any of the video? It's very, very moving as it always is.
Yeah, I haven't watched the video yet, and I started to, and was exactly like you just said. I get so emotionally drained at school most days with my job. I think that I just like get home and at times and just like want to shut my brain off. However, I love that this is happening. It's one of the things that makes me most proud to be an Xbox gamer is how dedicated they are to gamers of all kinds. And that just really, I'm not going to say I don't think Sony does it at all. If they do, I
And they
don't
do.
know about it.
I just want to jump in. They've done great things with
And
accessibility lately with The Last of Us. Even Phil Spencer was shouting them out on some of
okay.
their accessibility stuff and the other recent releases. So they do a lot when it comes to games. Maybe not with like controllers and like these movements that Microsoft is doing, but for
Yeah.
sure in their games.
Yeah, and it's obviously, I'm glad you point out like how lucky we are, because I think we all take for granted some of those little things that all the time, and I'm always like, oh my God, what would my life be like if I didn't have fingers? I would assume I would lose one of my greatest hobbies, right? And there, it makes me think that if something did happen, God forbid, that maybe I wouldn't after all, right? It wouldn't quite be the same, but I would have a community that I could reach out to and, get advice from, as well as some tangible ways to continue to
Yeah.
play. So it's exciting to know that that's the
Yeah,
team
I
we're
think it's
on.
so cool that they did this as a showcase for Xbox. And I did want to say I got their names. It's Steve Saylor at Steve Saylor. He was the one who hosted this. And he did a fantastic job, you guys. It's truly impressive. And he's a content creator, and he's always been talking about how games need to be more accessible. And he always points out everything. And then it's really cool because right at the beginning, after Phil Spencer introduces himself, he turns it over to this guy, and then Solomon Romney was the Microsoft Inclusive Tech Lab like lead guy and like with the adaptive controller, and he introduces himself and he's like, things I don't even think about, guys, where they're like, I'm a middle-aged white man with medium build and I have a prosthetic hand, like describing it for people who can't see. Like I don't even think about something like this, like that, which is crazy. So I just wanted to shout those two out. Like I highly recommend watching the showcase. I got about halfway through and it's about 40 minutes and I want to finish it, but it's just like, and Jose, what did you think of all this? I'm just crying already just watching some of these clips in the background. Go ahead.
No, I think you guys hit it on the head. As Chance and both and you said too, Dan, like we are very fortunate in the sense that we don't think about this not only for ourselves but for our families, for our children. Even and even though we do for some of our students at school, right? Like we talk a lot about how gaming is a community, right? It's about doing something that we love. It's about supporting people. It's about having fun, right? We play games to have fun, and so how terrible and sad the history of gaming is, that for probably for a very long time you were limited by your body, right? You were limited by your physical capacity. So it's nice to feel like we're breaking through those barriers. And I don't mean just we as Xbox. I mean, yes, that's great that we've made headway, but everybody, Sony, Nintendo, like, again, we want as many people to enjoy the hobby that we love so much. The other thing I will say that I think is just very cool in a world of people doing things as a reaction to getting in trouble, I think it's very cool that companies like Microsoft, like Sony, like Nintendo are doing this because it's the right thing. They're not doing this because someone sued them because they couldn't play the game, or they're just trying to be politically correct. They're just like, you know what? We love games and I want everyone to play them. So let's find a way to do that. Let's create the market share. I do think it is cool, like you said, Dan, that it's a showcase. It's not an asterisk. It's not a hidden note on some page on the website that no one finds. It's like, no, we're really proud of this. Like, come play games. Even if you've never done it before, like, we're ready to help you. And if you're not, give us feedback, because we're always listening and we're always growing. It's just a great place to be, man. It's a good place to be in the fields. And it makes me happy, man.
Yeah,
It's a good day.
please, everyone, go check out the accessibility showcase. It is a fantastic video that is worth your time. And when everybody plays, we all win. Isn't that right? Phil, Phil
Didn't quote
Spencer
that.
/ Wayne Gretzky. Jose, why don't you turn it over to the next news story for us with speak. So we're going hot. We're going.
All right.
We're
Well,
going
why is we
low.
going
Exactly. We're
positive,
going
Bill?
high.
Let's go back
That's
down
exactly
again.
what I was going to say. Let's talk about the metaverse, you guys.
So in other gaming news this week, the metaverse had a very interesting week. For those that are following it, and to be fair, I'm not one of them. I heard about it on some other podcasts and did some research and stuff. They announced kind of their new metaverse headset that's coming out. So the article that we're actually reading this from is from IGN as well. The title of the article is actually "Metaverse has had a very bad week." It's by Logan Plant. But basically, the big takeaway is that their new Meta Quest Pro VR headset will come in at $1,500. That is 1500 when it releases. And that was, I think, the biggest, like, people were like, whoa, because there's been a lot of skepticism about what the PlayStation VR 2 is going to cost, about this whole getting into the metaverse. There was also some other articles that I didn't put in here about like user base, and it's not looking great right now for the metaverse and stuff like that. You know, the things I will just say is, while I'm not into VR right now, I do recognize that it has potential. And while it may not even be within my lifetime, I do think that is eventually where things may go. And so, just at some level, some company has to start that process, right? Like, that's just like, that's how it begins. Now, granted, I guess because Facebook has the money and the funds and interest in it, like, great that that's them. I think this is a pretty big jump pretty quickly. Now, to be fair, before I pass it to my co-hosts, we're basically buying a computer, right? A computer that goes on your head, that plays games and does other things in the computer universe. So $1,500 is not, in that sense, it is not ridiculous, right? Like, it's not ridiculous to go buy a $1,500 computer. That's a pretty good computer, to be fair, but it's not crazy. Where it becomes weird is, like, the reality is that right now Meta is mostly focusing on this for gaming purposes. And the reality is, like, we thought it was a big jump to go from like the 200 to 300 to 500. That seemed like mind blowing with the Xbox One era. So to jump to 3 times that price is pretty significant. And it really points to the reality that we're still pretty far out from the metaverse. Like, that's I think what people have learned this week, is that despite all the hype and despite all the things, like, the reality of the average person being able to buy this and then using it is not great. The one other big thing, and then I really will pass it to Dan, they did also acquire a couple big VR companies, including, and I apologize, I forgot the name of the company,
Iron
but it's the
Man.
company that made the Resident
Iron
Evil
Man
4.
Studio.
No, the
They
Resident
got
Evil
them
4
too.
port. Oh, they got the Iron Man as well. So, I mean, Facebook is making moves. It is moves in a kind of a Wild West market, but I am curious to see what you guys think about this.
I'm gonna
This
throw it to
news
Bubble
article.
Boy right away here. Bubble Boy, do you agree with Jose and think that we are going to be in a VR world or VR gaming? Because I don't see it.
I think eventually, yeah. I don't know exactly when that will be. I think we'll be surprised by like that whole mobile gaming thing. If you had asked me right now, like, what percentage of gamers play on mobile, or right, like, what percentage of the market share, I would have never in a million years guessed it was so substantial as it is. I bet, let's say if it's 10 years from now that it like takes off, 20 years from now, we might all be looking at it and we're like, wow, I would have never guessed it was 30% of the market share. As long as they still keep making games the way we enjoy them, I don't know that it's ever going to be a huge thing for us. I imagine I will get sick playing them because I get sick on all those cool 4D rides at like Disney World and stuff. So I am gonna stay away. And thanks a lot, Zuckerberg, for making it $1,500, because that makes it really easy for me to stay away from.
Jose, what were your reactions to this? Because you really didn't say. I have a question. How come? Remember, you had the cheap Oculus at your school. Somebody brought it in. That was what, like 300 or 400, 500, which to me is like completely reasonable as an entry point. What is so special about this one? Is this just? I mean, this just says PSVR 2 is going to be expensive to me. And then, like, what is so great about this one? I'm to be honest, I didn't look into any
That's the thing
metaverse
is,
stuff.
We don't know. That's I think what is also the most interesting piece about this. And some of it is just because it's so new, right? Like we don't know what to expect from PSVR 2 because like we kind of know what PSVR, I'm not kind of, we know what PSVR 1 was, but this is supposed to be a big jump forward. And so there's lots of question marks about what does that mean in terms of capability? What does that mean in terms of the immersion within the game? What does that mean for the price? Right? Like that's kind of the big question, because if you're buying a PS5 already spending $500, $600, and what if it's another $600, $700, $800, right? Then at that point you are at the same price as the MetaQuest. You know what I'm saying? My reaction is that, like, I think it's really what Chance just said. Like, it made me real easy to just be like, well, absolutely not going to pay $1,500 for this, but I'll follow it. I'm curious to see what's going to come of it. I don't get sick from being in like the VR world, but at the same time, like, it felt very not normal when I like, and to be fair, I played it for 15 minutes. Like, I didn't have an extensive experience. I didn't get to like download games that I would want to play, like the Resident Evil one. I did the Jedi Beat Saber one, which is fun. It was cute. It was endearing. I learned how like people, I guess, use it as like a workout program and have like lost a bunch of weight, which is really cool. I think that's awesome. But it didn't. I've said this before, and maybe it just makes me a lazy piece of caca. When I play games, it is to relax. It's because life is stressful or work is stressful, or just like it's Friday night and I'm with my boys on the battlefield. I don't want to do that in VR. I don't want to stand. As terrible as that sounds, like I want to sit on my couch with my Nerds clusters on my left and my drink in the drink holder and like play the game. And that's not impossible with VR, but it's a different paradigm. And so I think that's what the companies and the public are trying to figure out. And for right now, for myself, I'm just ready to sit back and watch. Like, I'm still very happy with my Xbox. I'm excited to get into the cloud gaming thing. It's just not where I want to be yet. Dan, what do you think?
I just have no interest in VR. I'm going to be honest, or being in the metaverse. Bubble Boy knows we've already been living in the metaverse with video games. That's we've already been there. I don't.
Well, but before we move on, then one quick last note. There was another article
Game Pass
from
being in there.
Kenneth Shepard. Game Pass is being
Cool.
added to MetaQuest. So like, if there was a question about legitimacy, right? Like with these games, like it's one thing if Facebook only owns a couple of big companies and they only make their own games, but to see that Microsoft is also trying to maybe not get in the game, but at least kind of extend into that region a little bit is interesting. I'm curious how that will work, if it'll just basically be like a virtual screen, right? Or if they're going to try to add some VR elements over time.
I think it's going to be a
see.
virtual screen, because I think for once Microsoft knows and is ahead of the game here that VR, there's a reason why we haven't made a VR headset. And sure, if we want our app available on as many devices as possible. Facebook, if you want us to put it on your Oculus, by all means. PlayStation, you can too, but you don't want to. Nintendo, anybody who wants it, Samsung TVs, we will let you have access to our games through that. Bubble Boy, any closing thoughts?
Nah.
That's what I was waiting for.
I will say, when Apple comes out with theirs, that will be worth it.
I meant my last thought.
I'm just kidding. I did that to mess with
I was going to say. Moving on. Jose, do we want to talk about the $3.5 million to put Ark on PlayStation Plus?
So I'm gonna spend 60 seconds on this, just as a food for thought for our guests. There was some couple articles that came out this week. The one I'm reading is from Jenny Zhang from Game Pass. GameSpot. There's also some on IGN. They're everywhere. But basically, we always ask about Game Pass. How much money do they actually make? We found out from not a leak, but from some filings that came out that in 2021, Xbox made $2.9 billion in revenue from Game Pass. Now, again, that's not profit. That's revenue, right? And that was 2021. That was a year ago. But at the same time, we also found out that when they paid for Ark, which how would you guys rank Ark on Game Pass?
What do you mean? Like how many people play it? I
have you ever played it?
I know it's decently popular, because I mean, they're making the sequel, they're making a big deal out of, and I remember I've seen the Battlefield friends playing it. So I mean, I think it's got a bigger audience than we think, is what I'll say.
So it's not a F tier game. It's definitely not an A or S tier game. It's somewhere in the middle of the pack there. But we found out that Sony paid $3.5 million to get it on their PlayStation Plus for 1 month, right? We also found out that a couple years ago, Xbox paid 2.5 for 3 years, right? Now, some of that was because the Game Pass was still new and they were still like, they didn't have the money. But what this gives us some idea is that we've always asked that question of like, what's the benefit of being in Game Pass? Do you get paid? Do you get support? And it turns out the answer is yes. Now, we don't really have other numbers. We don't know what it means for like a 360 game or a AAA title, but it is clear that companies are making money. And I think that really the point I wanted to make is that the question of whether Game Pass would be forever or temporary, I think has been answered, that it's going to be forever. They're clearly making money. It's clearly an incentive for companies to keep doing well. I do hope we get some more information on this over time. I would just like to know more. I think the numbers are fascinating, but I just wanted to throw that out for everyone. 2.9 billion in 2021. I think this year will be down because there weren't a ton of big titles, but I think that next year
go big time
is going to be a banger. We got all kinds of cool stuff coming.
I
So we'll
want
see.
to ask
That's all I
Chance
want to
really
say.
quickly. At first, when I saw 3.5 million, I'm like, man, they paid a lot to have it on there. But the more I think about it, Bubble Boy, how many copies do you think they would have had to have sold at $60 to get 3.5 million?
A lot.
Jose, does anybody
Am I
know?
close with that one? Is it? Yeah, let me bust my phone out there. I stick
60,000
by my
copies.
answer of a
So
lot.
to me, I guarantee
Yeah.
way more people
Yeah.
have played that on Game Pass than they would have sold that
sure.
many copies on there. So
For
I
sure.
think looking back, like that's actually a bargain to pay that much, I think, to get it on there and to get the engagement and get the microtransactions. Let's move on to the next story. Is this one you too, Jose? The dialogue trees, or was that Bubble Boy?
This is me. It's just a quick story for those that are interested in Bethesda and what's going on with Starfield. I know it's kind of been out of the news for a little bit as we gear for it next year. There was a recently, this was from Logan Plant over at IGN again, but he was saying that they have said, Todd Howard has said that the game has just over 250,000 lines of dialogue in the game, which is over 4 times as many as was in Skyrim. And so when I read that, I had like mixed feelings. Like one, it made me excited because I think the lore of these stories is what makes them the most fun and the most exciting. It also gave me a little bit of anxiety because I was like, "Woo, this is going to be a big boy, right? It's going to have some girth
exactly.
to it, if you know what I'm saying."
That's what she said.
So
yeah, here's my reaction. I love Todd Howard. I love the Todd father. He needs to shut the hell up. Okay, stop talking about these quantities of like we've got billions of star systems. We've got this much dialogue. Todd, just show us the game. This article, Jose, that you sent out, I don't even care about the dialogue. They had a link to some screenshots. I'm looking at these screenshots. This looks cool. Okay, just give me a good story. I don't care if it's got 4 times the amount of dialogue. I just want it to play well, and I just want to have an engaging story. I think it's a little ridiculous. I don't know about you, Bubble Boy.
George is definitely
Exactly. Why are we sharing this? Chance, do you find this relevant at all? Does that excite you, or is this kind of like the Dying Light 2? This will take you $500 to do everything in the game. You know, what do you think? Oh boy.
I think he's just reminding people that the games exist, right? Like it's just if it reminds me of that old on Seinfeld when they're like, yeah, but why would we watch this show? And George is like, because it's on TV, right? Like they're like, someone's like, Todd, why do people care about this? Because I'm saying it, right? Like he needs a better PR manager to tell him, like, just
Yeah,
tone it
just
down
at
a
this
little
point,
bit, buddy.
get hard to work, Todd, and show us the game. Let the game do its talking. We're already hyped. Like,
Yeah.
to me, Jose, this is a miss. This actually makes me less excited for Starfield,
Because
even though I'm already
the other
hyped
thing
for it.
too is think of how old Skyrim is, right? Like I think a lot of games, if you took, like, I'd be curious to know how many were in Fallout 4 or how many are in Mass Effect 3, like just to compare some of those things. Because yeah, it's a lot more, but is it a crazy amount more? And if it is that just because they can do more and it's I
Exactly.
don't know.
I think
I don't
it
know.
was much cooler when they were showing some of the music, explaining why they wrote that. Talk to me about some of these characters, their backstory. Give me that. This, Jose, go ahead. Cock out of me.
So I looked it up real quick without Googling it. Do you know how many lines were in Mass Effect 3? Any guess?
I have no idea how much. Less, way less.
40,000.
Exactly. Exactly. And
40,000.
that's
Wow.
one of the greatest games, the greatest game of all time. Was that just one game or the whole entire trilogy?
That was just Mass Effect 3.
That's the best one.
And what was this one at? 250.
Oh, that's
250 for
not good.
Starfield.
Jose, thank you for
Yeah.
pulling that up. That's why you're the assistant to the co-host. Normally the assistant to the co-host, but recently demoted with this hot caca take. Speaking of hot caca takes, let's move right into the next stories. And I'm going to tie these two together. Jose shared with this. By the way, Jose, I got to ask you to do something for me, okay? Jose, you guys, he likes to tag Xbox Record this Twitter with like funny stories and stuff like that. Jose, I'm glad you just bring it to the show notes, okay? Because when you send me those notifications, I get excited. I'm like, maybe a fan wrote in, maybe somebody actually wrote into the Twitter, and it's just Jose.
Someone did write in. It was me.
So, Jose, I appreciate the engagement from you. Just add it to the notes for the news stories. I love it. Or share it to the nerd chat. So he sent John Carpenter still wants to make a Dead Space movie. And John, when asked if he's ever thought about adapting a video game, horror legend and avid gamer John Carpenter replied, Dead Space. That would make a real great movie. I could do that. And speaking of movies, that ties into the other story with Chance. Before we move into Chance's story, Jose, what has John Carpenter made that I've seen?
So like he's a horror master. He's made lots of stuff. He's like a Wes Craven, if you know that name as well. The big one that he made that I think is, in my opinion, his greatest one was The Thing.
I
that
still
like
need to see that
1980s
Kurt
movie
Russell,
about the Alaskan base.
brothers.
Kurt
I
Russell.
need to watch that.
It's a classic one. I love The
And
Thing.
you got to keep in mind that everything
I know,
is
and it
done
was
by
old
hand,
school.
too.
Yeah,
I gotta
it's
say
all,
again,
like,
shout out to both of you.
models and stuff.
Knockback Nostalgia Podcast. I keep talking about they did it on The Thing, and I it's on my list. I need to watch. Moriarty Brothers told me to watch it.
It's so good.
And
It's such a cool
Have you
story.
seen
And even
the baby one, Rosemary's Baby? I hear that is absolutely terrifying. They talk about that all the time. And The Exorcist. They just did The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist. That scares the crap out of me.
Dude.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a creepy one. No, that's a big one. He did a vampires movie with oh God, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. And it was okay. I mean, he's done a lot of horror movies over the years. He's like one of the traditional like horror movie kind of guys from like the 80s and 90s. Like he's still a great filmmaker. I'm sure he could make a cool movie today, but he's more of that like classic kind of like you have a monster and you have a villain and you have like some violence, but it's not over the top. It's like not in the Saw realm. It's like more of that like 80s, 90s horror. So I just saw that and I was like, in general, I would love a Dead Space movie. Like I'm on a big Dead Space kick right now for sure. But like, I love those movies. I love horror movies as well. That would be super dope. The one thing I will say is if they ever did that route, I hope they don't follow the same story as the games, right? Because it's kind of one of those, like, we know the story from the games, like show me something new. Because the game is kind of its own movie in a way. So I thought that was very exciting. I don't know if Chance has anything to say, but I'd love to shout out his story as well.
I do, because I was saving it. I wanted to do it for a top 5, like an opener one of these months, but we might wait till November to do it. I don't often see it that way. I see it the other way. When I'm playing a video game, I don't often be like, this would make a great movie, because it already is so visual and a lot of it has story. When I'm watching a movie, I think sometimes like, oh, this might make a really great game, right? And so as I'm playing Alien Isolation, I'm like, man, that was a really well done game. How many other, like, what are your top 5 video games that were adopted from movies or books or something like that, right? So the other way, and we've done our top 5 the other way, or not top 5, because it doesn't always translate well, but it doesn't excite me as much. Dead Space was really well done.
That's a good point. And I do want to say the reason why I know John Carpenter, Jose, because I remember this happened when Halo Infinite came out. He tweeted, he said, Halo Infinite is a fun shooter, immense, beautiful production design, best Halo of the series. So I'm a big fan of this John Carpenter now, because he's absolutely right.
And
dude is not a spring chicken either. Like, that's pretty impressive that he plays video games still.
Well, and I can't believe I totally say this. I feel like such a terrible fan of like horror right now. He also did Halloween, like the original Halloween with Michael Myers. Like, how did I not say that with The Thing? But he's done lots of movies, so who knows if they'll give John Carpenter the rights to Dead Space? But
he's 74.
He's running out of time to do that Dead Space. Bubble
Impressive.
Boy,
Oh,
take it away.
That was kind of mean.
It's kind of true. And then, so speaking of scary,
Objection! Extremely racist!
what? The next story, what?
I just
Yeah,
wanted to squeeze
okay.
that in. It wasn't racist,
Don't
but he's a
cancel
white
me.
guy, and I don't know, felt racist
Speaking
to
of scary
me.
movies, Chance has a story here that we're going to talk about in a second. But I wanted to say, what
Yeah,
we need to figure out a time for top 5 scary movies ever. Because I was just clicking on some.
we did
We did
that.
that?
We've done that, haven't we?
Did
We did
we?
that last Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yours
Oh
was
yeah, you're right. I remember.
I've
Yep,
never seen a
I
scary
do
movie
remember. Now I do.
before.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. And none of
Um,
them.
no, this article I thought was really cool. It's coming from Wesley LeBlanc over on IGN, and he's talking about this guy named Daniel Clifford created this study where they literally determined. I joke all the time, like, "Oh yeah, I think I did it earlier in the show." Yeah, science proved it. What were we talking about when I said that? That this is the best or
Nerds
this is the
clusters are
worst.
the
Yes,
best candy.
yeah, right. I was like, science proved it. When I first saw this article, I was like, oh, somebody's got the same sense of humor as me. And then I read into it, and they're like, no, they really did figure this out, and here's how they did it. So it says the study measured resting heart rates of 50 individuals, which I don't think is very many, but still, of different ages while they watched over 100 hours of scary movies. When all was said and done, the study had determined a list of the 35 scariest movies, and the top was Sinister. Have either of you
I have
seen
not.
Sinister?
Or Insidious. I've
Absolutely.
heard a lot about
Yeah,
Insidious.
I
I need
haven't.
to watch that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I know. And Insidious came in its second place, Daniel. So the average resting heart rate of the 50 individuals was 65 beats per minute. During Sinister, that average jumped to 86 beats per minute, which
Dang.
equates to a 32% increase. Yeah. And I was like, I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, that kind right, either that or I mean, I don't know what else would cause that, right? No other movie saw a higher rise in average beats per minute. 2010's Insidious, however, was crowned the king of the jump scare, as it had a particular scare that saw the no spoilers, as it saw that average BPM rise to 133 during it, which is more than double, which is crazy. No other movie topped this individual jump scare overall. Insidious came in second place behind Sinister. So I thought that was cool for a lot of different reasons. And I was like, oh, I wonder if you could ever do something like that with games. Like, what's the actually like most fun game or most scary? And I think you could do this same thing that this guy did. But
I looked up both of them on IMDb, and they're both rated at 6.8 out of 10. 368 for Insidious popularity, 387 for Sinister. Jose, which one do I need to get Allie to watch right now? Because she's gonna crap her caca out.
Watch Sinister. Sinister is a better movie than Insidious, and it is scarier. What I will say is, so I've seen 7 of the top 10. The other ones, if you want to just real quick, so 3 was Conjuring, 4 Hereditary, 5 Paranormal Activity, 6 It Follows, 7 Conjuring 2, 8 Babadook, Descent 9, and The Visit 10. I've seen 7 of the 10 of those. I've not seen a couple of them. A lot of them center around family and children. And I think that is something that is inherently scary, not in the sense that your children are scary, minus dance, but in the sense that, and this is my own opinion, becoming a parent is scary in of itself. You have so many fears. What is my child is not healthy? What if my child gets screwed up in life? What if I'm a bad parent? What if I do something wrong? Like that has enough of scariness with it that goes with like families. And so when you add this horror element, especially as someone who has a family, it does raise that like, oh, like you could kind of feel it. Sinister, without spoilers, is a story about a writer who is trying to write a book. He moves out to a new house. That's a pretty common theme in horror movies. And it turns out the house is haunted. The property is haunted. And without giving too much away, there are ghosts that are messing with his kids and him and interacting with him and interacting with his kids that are also scary looking. And there's some pretty messed up elements with like children in the story. And so like I totally understand why it's one of the scariest movies. It is a newer movie. And I think that's another thing we have to keep in mind here. Like there's no way ever that like classic movies, even like the Friday the 13th, the Nightmare on Elm Street, they're never going to compete with modern horror because modern horror has like stretched the rules so far into like trying to be realistic. Like even people make fun of me. I think Paranormal Activity is a scary
terrifying
movie, dude. And just because like the idea that like the ghosts are in your house are messing with you at night, like
yeah.
I'm a grown person who's like large and very capable, but still like if someone touched my foot
game
while I was
over.
playing games by myself,
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Oh,
bed.
yeah.
I'm staying on the couch
No.
the whole night.
Dude.
Like literally, you know what I mean? So I think that's part of what this whole thing is about.
I'm
too.
right there
Dan,
with
go
you,
ahead.
Jose, on Paranormal. Wasn't that one of our top? That was probably number one for me. I'm pretty sure it was up there for us.
It's a scary
Dude,
one,
I've
dude. I
seen
thought they were
like
scary
the
movies.
sequels and everything, and every time when that vibration starts, when you know something spooky is gonna happen, I get freaking the hair stands up on the back of my back, and I'm like just sitting there freaked out of my mind, man. So yeah, I'm all with you on Paranormal Activity. As far as these movies, I'm gonna start writing all of these down, and because I need to watch a lot of them. The only other one I've seen besides Paranormal Activity was The Visit, and I remember The Visit was M. Night Shyamalan with the old people, right? And they're like the house, and like they went to stay with him at the house, right? I don't want to spoil too much of it.
Wasn't that Old People? Didn't he make a movie
No,
called
Jose,
Old
you've seen The
People or
Visit,
Old?
right?
Yes, he
You haven't
did.
seen oh well,
He
then I'm
made-
not going
I'm
to
looking
talk
it up right
anymore.
now.
You need to.
No, The Visit. The
Oh
Visit
my
was one I
gosh, you need to
hadn't
see
seen.
that. Okay, I don't want to spoil it. Good thing I stopped there because I assumed you had seen it. Yeah,
It's called Old, Daniel. Just
watch
Old.
The Visit,
But yeah,
Jose.
The
That's one I
Visit
have seen.
is
You
right
do need
next
to
to
watch
it.
it.
Have
Do you know what it's
seen
on right now?
Babadook?
I've seen Babadook.
Is that worth my time?
I mean, Babadook, it is scary. It's in the same realm as like The Conjuring and like The Nun.
Yeah.
So like The Nun, The Conjuring, and Annabelle are all actually the same
Mm.
universe. They have a lot of the same characters and stuff. I actually finished watching them about a couple months ago. If in my opinion, The Nun was the scariest of those films, followed by The Conjuring, because it was creepy, and it also again gets in that realm
I
of
was thinking of The Witch.
like religion, right? Like if you are
Ooh, like
religious at all,
exorcism?
or if you believe in
Ooh,
God and the
yeah.
devil, like there's a lot of that element in it, and it's creepy, man. Because like it's again, do I realistically probably going to deal with it in my life? No, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen, and that's
Yeah,
I
just
think
like
that's what some of the fear
paranormal.
dwells upon for sure.
Jose, you need to
Yeah.
watch the Visit.
Do you know what it's on right now? That's what I was going to ask
Just
you.
rent it on Amazon for $4
I'll
or
find it.
whatever it is. So, Jose, of this list, is there anything I shouldn't watch that you think like is like?
I mean, the only ones I haven't
I've
seen
heard that's good
Hereditary. I
too.
haven't seen It Follows,
See,
and I haven't
It
seen The Visit.
Follows pops up on
Really?
tons of these as like it's just really well done, and that it like harkens back to old school with some new school effects and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like between that and Sinister, and I want to see Malignant.
I haven't seen Malignant either. I've heard it's real scary too, though.
It's supposed to be really well done. I think some of those other ones will scare me too much, like Paranormal Activity. That will
Have you
scare
seen
me
it?
too much.
You haven't seen? Oh my gosh!
No, I
don't see it.
refuse to.
Dude,
I
it's
refuse
but
to
it's-
see that movie. I'm not. Nope. I'm just
it's
not.
I like
I'm
it
not
though.
It's
going
I mean, I
good.
like that kind of stuff. I like the villains. I'm excited for the new Halloween movie that comes out in a week. I
Chance,
think
you're just
actually.
lucky you
Yeah,
didn't see it in
that movie
theaters
will be
because with the sound, oh my
great. Oh, I
gosh, too
know.
much.
I'm like, I would
Nope.
lose my mind. It's like the stuff that's
Mhm.
realistic to me that is the
Yep.
most scary, right? And that's why you said like Sinister and blah blah blah. But like, I just know me knowing that one. I don't need
Yeah,
to
I'm
not
gonna
sleep.
move on because I'm starting to get freaked out right now just thinking about it. So let's move on.
Oh well, I'm about
Let's
to
move
just
on to
mess
what
your
have we
world
been
up even
playing
more
and or
then.
watching. I will go quickly first, guys. I did it. I got 1,000 out of 1,000 on Resident Evil 4. Pretty happy about that.
Wait, but
You play
Oh,
to
I won.
win
I
the
won
game.
twice on my professional run. I went through it again. Loved it. Also, shout out. I played a $3 game that was on sale at the Xbox store like a week or two ago. It was like a part of their Halloween store. You know how we always say Ghoul Boxer when we was talking about ghouls, like me and Pony, we always say Ghoul Boxer and stuff like that. There was a game called
no idea
well,
what you're
Pony
talking
will,
about.
but he doesn't listen to the show, unfortunately, called Ghoul Boy. And it's kind of like, think of a Castlevania for beginners, a Castlevania or a Metroidvania game. Had a blast. It was simple, a little bit of puzzles, but think of a Castlevania game, basic combat. You swing your thing, you kill him a couple times. That was easy. Boss fights. There's also a worm boss that chased you like an Ori. That was actually a lot of fun. Very fun platforming and slight puzzles to open doors. Loved it. It was $3. It took me 3 hours to beat. A fantastic game. I'm going to do a review on that one as well. Captured it. So
Oh, it looks like
yeah,
Ghosts
so
and
it
Goblins.
was. I really enjoyed it, and I got 1,000 easy 1,000 out of 1,000 too as well. So it was a fun time. I loved Ghoul Boy. $3, a short little game,
All right.
and I enjoyed it a lot. So Jose, why don't you go, and then we'll let Bubble Boy goes last.
Yep. So in terms of playing GTA 5, I think I'm really close to the end. And with don't give us. I mean, you can say yes or no. I'm about to do the big heist, like the big one that they keep talking about. Is that close to the end of the game? Like it's the one that like Trevor and Michael have planned since they were young, and they're getting like Lester involved, and now Franklin as well. And it's like, am I totally off base? I don't know, but regardless,
Yeah, the game never ends.
It like
Yeah.
isn't it? There's plenty of stuff.
does it ever roll
Yeah, it
credits?
does. It
That's what
will.
I wanted to
Yes,
ask.
yes,
Like, do
it
you ever
will.
get credit?
Yeah.
I think you're close.
Okay. I did, but I'm enjoying it. Like I really am having fun. The characters are hilarious. The dialogue is awesome. Like driving the cars is really fun. Like I really am having a good time. I did the triathlons. I've done the like killing sprees. I've done the like Nigel and his crazy wife who wants celebrity things. Like very, very
Did
fun.
you
Like
get
I'm
new
having a great time.
swag?
But I'm
New merch, new threads. Did you?
The taco shirt.
no, I didn't. No. But I got to get done because we got Scorn and Gotham Knights in a couple days. So if it's not done
You
by
got
the time those
Scorn
come out,
tonight.
I thought it was the 18th.
No, it got moved up. It comes out in
You can
45
download
minutes.
Scorn tonight. Yep.
Well, I'll download it and I'll probably play GTA 5 tonight and then move to Scorn. It's fun. I'll go back to GTA 5. I really will. It's just, it's not something where I feel compelled where if I don't finish it right now, I'll be mad. And then watching, I haven't watched a whole lot. I've been on a lot of coverage this week for work, but I saw the new Hellraiser on Hulu. It's like a remake of the original Hellraiser. I haven't finished it. I'm like 20 minutes from the end. I was watching it and it got too late. I need to go to bed, but it's a solid movie. It's for me in the world of horror, like worth your time, worth your money. If I had paid for it, I might have been not super thrilled with that. It was on Hulu, which I'm already getting as part of my Disney package. So like, it's fine. Worth your time. It's worth your time if you like horror movies. If you know Hellraiser, do you guys know the story of Hellraiser at all? Pinhead. So I didn't
even
either, to be
slightly.
fair. Like I didn't know it at all. I know who Pinhead was, but basic story is that there is this box. It's like a puzzle box, and if you are messing with it, it will like shoot out like knives and spikes sometimes. Like if you turn it the right configuration, like a knife will jut out. And if you get cut by it, then these creatures, these beings from hell that they call Cenobites will come and kill you. Like that's basically the premise of the story. And so in each, supposedly there's like levels of ascension and like people try to get people to get killed because then they get to meet like these gods and be immortal and stuff like that. That story is just very convoluted. The reason why I think people watched it in like the 90s and today is because it's very grotesque. It's made by Clive Barker. It's written by Clive Barker, who's like a master of horror, like a Wes Craven, like a John Carpenter. And the Cenobites are like very disturbing creatures. Like they have like flesh exposed and they have like ripped things, and like Pinhead is one of those people. So if you're into that kind of like the art of horror, it's worth checking out. If you're not into that, it's probably not worth your time, if I'm being honest. But it is cool that they brought it back, and I'll definitely finish it, for Halloween. But honestly, once I see it, I probably don't have a really big desire to see it again. So that's what I've been up to. Excited to finish GTA 5 and start Scorn, and then get into Gotham Knights season. And I do actually want to try Grounded. I didn't answer that question for Cordy Morgs, but it does look like an awesome game. But it's just one of those where like it's going to eat some serious time, and in a time when I've got all these games plus Battlefield, which I'd love to play with the boys, like it's not on the docket right now. But maybe holiday, we'll see what happens. Chance?
Yeah, so I am about to wrap up Alien Isolation, which I've enjoyed. It's a little too long though. Did either of you guys
never
ever
played
finish it?
No,
Or did you
that's the
even
one
play
where
it?
you
Yeah, you
where
played it,
you
didn't
hide
you,
from
Jose?
Alien, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Outlast.
I hear
Like it's a
it's
survival horror where you don't
Yeah.
do a lot of combat.
It's I didn't finish it. I did play it. And I
Okay.
love Alien. Like I love that world.
Yeah.
I don't like games where you can't defend yourself. Like I just think
Yeah,
that's a bad
and
mechanic.
you can you get a shotgun and a flamethrower and you can, but it's like it's
But it's
not
like in
your
Friday the 13th. Like it's very, very, very hard to kill Jason.
Yes. And the alien really, at least as of yet, I haven't killed it. You only can like scare it with fire and stuff. But anyway, it's funny because I like finished, I think there's 18 levels and I finished level 10 the other day and it popped up with one of those like 3% trophies, right? Like nobody's finishing that game because it is just a little too long. I'm glad I played it though, because, and I know this is sacrilege, Jose, but I think I've told you this before. Prometheus is the only alien movie I've ever seen. And I really want to go back and watch at least the first one for sure.
I was just gonna say, I bet you would appreciate it more because I hear the attention to detail in the game is like,
correct. And
It
I can
is.
see
Yeah,
that.
the stuff what they did with the Nostromo is rad. They hit him on the head so well with the game
I
design.
can see that just for, I mean, I know little bits about what Alien is, and I'm really excited to go back and watch the source material. So even more importantly, though, what I've also been watching lately is the entire Saw franchise. As I was looking into scary movies and stuff, I had started a few of these last time, and I was really interested. Like I said, Malignant is one of those James Wan movies, and Conjuring and Insidious. And I'm like, this guy is like the new master of horror. Is there something I can get into? And I remember, like, I really liked Saw. It scared the caca out of me when I first saw it. And was like, let's check out the rest. So I think this segment will only take 43 minutes. So bear with me. All the other ones suck. Do yourself a favor, watch the first one. The first one holds up. It's pretty old now too. Like, I don't want to sound like that guy. Like, it's pretty old. It was made in 2017. Sorny with your Horizon, but it wasn't it 2000.
gosh, were we in high school when that came
2002?
out?
God, I gotta look it up.
I'll
now.
look it up. Chance, keep going.
Yeah, look it up while I'm talking.
2004.
But really, all the other ones, 2004. Okay, I just have all these like notes that I wrote here that are useless, and half the time I'm just I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's just murder porn or torture porn, and after a while they just got boring and old. There were a couple like in Saw 2, that syringe pit. If you've
Was
seen
that
it,
Saw
was
2?
really like
Oh,
it gave.
I remember that.
Yeah, it gave me the
I remember that.
heebie-jeebies. There was one in the final chapter with this fish hook that gave me the heebie-jeebies. Past that, they were crap movies. They really
Chance,
were.
you got to fill me in. What happened with
the
the syringe pit? Did someone get pushed in there, fall in there, jump in there, go in there? I don't remember. I've seen it. I
Wait,
just
you
don't
haven't
remember.
seen it?
Oh,
They fall into
Yeah,
it. They
the
fall into
wrong
it.
person gets pushed into it. So if the premise with Saw is like that John, God, what's his name? Why can't I think of his last name?
let's play.
Whatever,
But how does he
Jigsaw.
talk?
Jigsaw.
How does he talk?
Yeah,
Let's play a game.
yeah.
You have 40 seconds.
The premise is that like he's set all these games up, and he's such a good guy because he's doing this to teach people about like teach them the lessons that they didn't learn,
To
and so
enjoy
that-
their life and be good
Yes.
people.
So the syringe pit was designed for a heroin addict, right? Like you have to get through this thing that was like destroying your life, and that guy throws Amanda, who ends up being a massive part of the series, into the pit. That was cool. There were a couple of cool little things, but I just go back and I'm like, man, you could have stopped at the first one and it would have been a much better, like more classic, I think, movie. Honestly, did you see them all, Jose?
I saw through, I think 5.
There's 7 of them. There's
7 and there's
6.
Spiral, the
Or no,
one with
there's
Chris Rock. That's like the
8.
prequel that came out.
Wait, what? Spiral?
Yeah,
look
no
up Spiral.
idea
It's a
what that
prequel
is.
to the whole story.
Oh, I only saw Jigsaw. I thought Jigsaw was the last one. Is it newer than Jigsaw?
It is. It's only like in the
Okay.
last year or something like that.
Oh,
And
wow.
I haven't seen that either, to be fair. I don't enjoy
Jose
that.
doesn't like gore.
The first one I thought
porn
was
or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like Hostel
Ooh,
2,
yeah.
like the Eli Roth one. I didn't like Hostel either. I like scary stuff. I like the idea of being scared. Like I like that emotion. I don't like the idea of like, oh, that's gross.
And I felt that in Saw, right? Like, didn't you? And I can remember, other than Signs, there's a scary, spooky pop, like the jump scare in Signs that was probably the scariest
damn it,
jump that I've
crossing in
I-
front of the
And
screen.
the hand.
That's
Still to this day.
Yep.
Yeah,
under
you
the
forget about
door,
you forget about that one.
Yep. That movie has those two. Other than that, when you see the pig head thing jump out, probably the second or third biggest jump scare I can ever remember. And it was genuinely scary. Like it was tense, and you were like, what is happening? What's going to go on? Past that, yeah, it just all got, ugh.
It's just the first one also, like, despite being very gory, and it was such a cool twist. And I'm not going to blow the twist in case you've never seen it, but like the way that it ends was literally like revolutionary, which is hard to do in the world. It was clearly so popular that they decided they needed to make literally 10 other movies.
Yeah,
We'll talk
Go
about
back
it.
and watch it. And that's
good.
really what I wanted to say about all this. Like I said, I'm not going to read all my notes because most of them sucked. Go watch the first one. It holds up. The scares are still there. It was so low budget, like I don't think it needed any crazy special effects or anything anyway. It's got the actor from The Princess Bride, so a lot of good stuff going for it. Go back and watch Saw.
Yeah,
if you've never
must
seen
watch
it,
if
you
you've never seen
absolutely
it.
need to
And
see it. If
Paranormal
you
Activity.
have, well, but so then my question, and the reason I want to talk about it, so I'm like losing respect for James Wan. Do I need to see Insidious?
I'm writing him down right now, Bubble Boy. Let's watch it. I want to watch Sinister and
You should see Sinister. I liked Sinister. It's a cool movie. It's creepy and scary, but it's a cool movie. It doesn't have that many jump scares. There's a couple. Insidious, I didn't love as much.
Still gonna watch
it's fine. Like it's not a bad movie, but it's just not in the realm of what I want.
We could talk about this all night. I gotta ask really quick. It Follows. Is that a sequel to It somehow? Is that what? Oh, it's not. Okay, okay.
No, it has nothing.
Okay.
Totally.
I was wondering. I was like, why haven't I ever heard of this? And then
unrelated.
Jose, which one is the Friday the 13th where Tommy Jarvis comes in? Tommy J. Is it 4? Okay,
4.
I think it's 4
or 4. I think it's 4.
That's one I haven't seen, so I got to catch up. And the last question for you both: how do I get Allie to watch more scary movies instead of Bachelor in Paradise?
I don't know, but if you find out, tell me because I have the same
Jose,
issue.
you're watching Bachelor in Paradise too?
Well,
no,
actually,
no.
Okay, did you watch The Haunting on Hill House on Netflix?
No.
Phenomenal.
Ashley genuinely really, really liked it.
Did you guys watch The Haunting of Bly Manor, the second season?
No, because she even as much as she loved the first one, she's like, I just don't want to do any more scary. Try that one, Daniel. It is extremely well done.
Dan, it's so good.
It's
such a good
I will be lucky
series.
if I get Allie to watch Tommy J. And those movies aren't even scary.
But here's what I think she might like about it that I appreciated, and it's why I'm never going to watch Paranormal Activity. It does a really good job of explaining the why behind the scary. It's like, okay, this is what's happening, and here's why this is happening, and you're like, oh, well, that makes it
scary.
slightly less scary. So in the moment, it's terrifying, and then they go back, and not for everything. Like there's a couple of things that they don't, but some of it, it's so well done.
And I really wanted them to do another Fear Street series this year, like they did last Halloween, because that Fear Street series was so good, and they didn't do it. But maybe one day we'll see.
And does she likes Stranger Things, right? Because that one girl from
for
it
sure.
is in Fear Street.
Before we end the show, like we always do, guys, quick update here. Guess who just pre-ordered their Halo bomber jacket? You know, I did it. Okay, so here's how you do it.
Kidding me? How did you get it?
You have to get it through Halo Waypoint. This is breaking news, you guys. I logged into Halo earlier.
Okay.
No code. I looked at all my notifications. It was just a bunch of invites to betas, closed alphas, the co-op. But I'm like, okay, cool. I just left it open, focused on the show, right? Then I checked back. It said 32 minutes ago, you got another notification. Here is your code for finishing the Entrenched event. You can't cut and paste it. Every time I clicked on it, it would just take me to the jacket, which was a pain in the butt. But anyway, I took a screenshot of it, and then I typed it in. The total, including shipping, is $152. We'll see. But
okay,
I'm excited.
Not
I did my gamer tag.
Did you see the liner on
Yes,
it?
the liner. I pre-ordered it, boys. Let's see. I'll keep you all updated. I wanted to share that.
Is it not engraved?
No, I think it's actually. I think it's a patch you
embroidered?
can put on there because I saw another one with the UNSC. So I think that's kind of cool too. In case I have to return it, I was thinking, well, what if it doesn't fit right and I need to exchange it? How are they going to deal with that? I'm pretty sure it's like, I can even put the N7 patch on there. Maybe. Let's hope.
You could also buy the Dead Space Collector's Edition and add the Ishimura patch on there as well.
No, I don't think I'll be doing that, Jose. But yes, super excited. I'll keep you updated. So let's end the show like we always do. Great show, boys, with the best food we had this week. I will go quickly first. Guys, I went and got Subway tonight afterwards with the kids. Got myself a club. I hadn't been to Subway in a while. It's fantastic. It's like the McDonald's of sandwiches. It's always reliable. It's always going to be good. Kids loved it because they had never been. I've never taken them
Yeah.
inside a Subway to eat.
Fair
They're
statement.
like, "Oh my, this is the coolest thing ever! I get to pick out my chips." Like, oh, they have.
Did they ask you
no,
about the
they
smell?
didn't.
I'm like a
What
king
is
out
this
here.
vitamin? You guys remember vitamin water? They have vitamin water there, the triple X, and they're like, "This
Yeah,
is the
the
greatest
triple X,
tasting
yep.
drink in the world." I was like, "Yeah, guys, Subway, right?" I got a club. It was delicious,
Full
yeah.
sugar.
But the best food I had this week was shout out to my wife. I think I sent you guys the picture of it. We had the carne asada, Jose. Oh my gosh, it was
Ooh, I
so
did see it.
good with
Yeah. And you went mean
the
non-pickled
fresh
jalapenos.
sliced jalapenos. I love the freshly sliced raw onions and jalapenos. And then it was a little spicy, like I texted you guys with my aunt and uncle's their homemade salsa. I was feeling it, but update, I didn't have my body can handle the spice. I didn't have very spicy poo-poo cacas or diarrhea or anything. So I'm thankful for that.
Oh yeah, we
You can
forgot
thank your
about
I mean,
Aztec
that.
answers.
I'm pretty pumped about that, but it can't
Yeah.
handle milk and cereal or any of the sweets. So, Bubble Boy, what about you? What was the best food you had this week?
Yeah, so I put on there, it's called kava, which I had never heard of. Nobody I know has ever heard of. Have you either of you two heard of kava?
Uh,
C-A-V-A?
Is it a restaurant in Denver?
It's not in Denver. It's right. There's a
I think I've
couple, and
seen
the
it.
one we went to is right next to the
Burgers?
Children's Hospital.
Oh,
No, over by where Chris Hargeth lives, Chapeau. It's like spitting different distance from where we usually have our FFL fantasy draft. So kava is like Chipotle for Mediterranean
I
food,
think I've
Greek
heard of
food.
this.
It was phenomenal. It was absolutely incredible. And for me and Ashley both, when we got these giant bowls, it was $20, right? Like $10 each. You pick out like all these different kinds of rices, and they just have like 40 different toppings to pick from that are all incredible. I got this jalapeno feta thing in it that
Is it like garbanzo? Like that kind of Mediterranean?
so it like the same kind of food and flavors as garbanzo, but way better, and it felt exactly like Chipotle, like the way you kind of go down the line. And I guess you kind of do that at garbanzo too. It felt more to me like if where garbanzo is the, you know, Taco Bell, Cava is the Chipotle there. So I highly recommend it if you're ever over that way, which Jose, you don't live terribly far from there. It's not like it's
No,
close,
no,
but
it's not too far. We go that way all the time.
if you're having a garbanzo fix but you want something a little bit different, I went with they have this like cilantro chicken and falafel. Their falafel was phenomenal. So
All
huge
right.
shout out. I assume they'll be our sponsor soon. So go check out the closest kava.
Jose, what
love
about you?
falafel.
Best food you had this week?
Well, earlier this week, I got to add one to the
chicken
count.
from Popeyes.
Thanks to shout out to Zach Morris. He had to go to a sporting event up at Trailblazer Stadium, and so on the way back, he did his kindly duty as a coworker and friend and surprised us for lunch, which was
I
great.
gotta ask,
But the
does he
best
pick
food I
up
had this
normal or
week.
spices for you
Go ahead.
guys? Spicy.
Oh, he knows my order.
Okay. All right.
That's true friendship right there. He knows it's a spicy. But on Saturday last week, the day after we recorded, we went to the Melting Pot in Littleton.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Overrated.
No, you shut your mouth.
they have a deal right now where if you come in costume, you get $10 off per person.
Your
That's in
bill's still
costume. So
$180.
we got four. It was still very expensive, but it was a fun Halloween date for my wife, and we took the girls with us. The kids menu is a lot cheaper than the adult menu, obviously, and we had a great time. Like it was just a cool, fun thing to do during October. We try to do a lot of stuff with the family, so that was the best meal I ate. And it was the first time ever coming home from the Melting Pot that I didn't feel like bloated, like where I was like, I don't
How
feel
did you
good.
pull that off?
I don't know, but I must have been very calculated, or I don't know what it was, but man, because I ate the caca out of that cheese because the girls didn't like the cheese. So that meant literally double the portion for
my
me,
goodness,
which was
yeah.
fantastic. So That was the best thing I had this week, man. It
Sounds
was
like
a good
great
week.
week. What a great show, you guys. Again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all those reviews. Thank you for writing in. This has been Xbox Record This, episode 76. You can follow me at Daddy Diwali across all social media. You can follow the show at Xbox Record This on all social media. Also, keep an eye out for me wearing that new Xbox Halo gear bomber jacket. Bubble Boy, where can people find you?
On the couch. As this airs, I will be
Woo!
on fall
Completely
break,
forgot about that.
baby.
All right, Chipotle Bear, what about you?
You can find me on Instagram at Chipotle_bear, on Instagram at Chipotle Bear. And in about 40 minutes, you can find me downloading Scorn in preparation for that gem.
You didn't
I
pre-download
did.
it?
Amateur
No,
hour here.
I didn't. I got to finish GTA 5.
As
It's fine.
always, Harbo Gold Bear lovers, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
See you online.
Okay, I'm gonna rise up, gonna kick a little ass, gonna kick some ass in the USA, gonna climb a mountain, gonna soar a flag, gonna fly on an eagle, I'm gonna kick some butt, I'm gonna drive a big truck, I'm gonna rule this world, I'm gonna kick some ass, I'm gonna rise up, I'm gonna kick a little ass, rock, flag, and eagle!
What is that? Is that from that show? Is that Sunny? Is
Oh,
that
Charlie
always
Day?
Yeah.
Sunny.
Hey, give me
Yeah,
some credit.
come
I've never
on.
watched a single episode,
Yeah.
but I had a feeling. Xbox Record This is a podcast created by Daniel Walenzik. You can follow him at Daddy Diwali on all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_bear on Twitter. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. You can follow the show at Xbox Record This on all social media. If you'd like to find out more about the show, visit xboxrecordthis.com.